Hello and welcome to this week's tutorial. Today we're going to be having a look at using the pen tool in Photoshop. So that's this little tool here, just on the left hand side in your toolbar. You can select this using the P on the keyboard as well. So the pen tool is really used for creating vector graphics in Photoshop. Just going to delete this path here. And it tends to be used using points, so you click and drag to create a point. It's a little bit of getting used to at first, and then you can either close a path like that and create kind of a shape, or you can use it as a line like that. Now on your version of Photoshop here, you'll see that your paths mode needs to be selected like this up at the top here. So you should have this bar running along the top when you've got the pen tool selected. We'll be using this paths mode, but if you did want to kind of draw a solid shape, you'd use this one here. Now before you start this tutorial, you will need to select an image. You will be creating a silhouette of some sort, so I've just kind of found an image here of a running man. And obviously you'll need to open that image and bring it into Photoshop. So let's go back to this pen tool here. So we'll be looking at this, and we'll also be looking at this colour picker. If you click on your colour picker here, you'll find that you get this icon come up. When you get into the complexities of Photoshop, you'll be able to start using this to pick out colours on your board here. But for today, we're just going to be using this colour picker here, and you can select any colour. I'd like you to make sure that it's selected to the black at the moment, because we're going to be creating a silhouette. So if you click OK when you've found your colour, you should have 0000 at the bottom there. That's true black. So now that we've got this this line here, so again we just click to put a point in, and it kind of creates a line in between the points. If you click and hold, it allows you to drag out and create kind of a wavy line. You can see these axes here are kind of getting longer as you stretch it out. What you can do, let's say if you put a point in, you can use the Alt key. If you click and hold Alt, you see it changes the mouse there into kind of a arrow, and that allows you to just move one axis, so you can then kind of create a bit of a flat edge if you want to. Once you've kind of created a path like that, you can either create a line, so you need to make sure this paths, as I say, is selected at the top there. Right click, stroke path, and the stroke, or stroke's another word really for line, is dependent on your brushes. So we'll just go with what we've got at the moment. You can stimulate pressure, which is kind of similar to if you were using a real paintbrush or a pencil or something like that. Often, obviously, if you use a pencil, you'll see that your line gets harder or lighter depending on the amount of pressure that you apply. So I'm going to leave that for a second and just show you what happens if we click OK. It kind of draws out the line. You can see that's quite thick at the moment. I'm just going to click delete path, so you right click delete path, and that just gets rid of the path there and leaves your line on the page. So just to show you a difference, I'm going to select a different colour here. So again we go down to the colour picker, and again we'll just create a random line for the sake of it. So going clicking and dragging, and then closing off the path. So can you see that's created kind of a full shape there with no points? Right click this time. Instead we'll put fill path this time. Now we want to create a full solid shape there. So you click foreground colour, because this is the foreground colour here, and that's the background colour. We want the mode to be normal at this point. You'll get to know these as you get further into Photoshop. And opacity relates to the transparency, so we're going to say that we want it to be 100%, so that's saying we want it to be solid. You can set that to different percentages to make your fill more transparent. And that should create kind of a solid shape. So again, we just want to get rid of that path, so that kind of line that's going around the outside. You just right click and delete path there. So I'll show you what you need to do then to change your line width. So you just select the brush here, and like you would with the brushes, you just change the size of your brush. So let's say we'll go for 12 points here, 12 pixels. And again, just create a random line. Again, this time I'll change the colour again just so you can see the difference. Right click, stroke path. This time we're going to simulate pressure. So what you'll see is the line is thicker in some points than it is in others. And you get this kind of nice effect there. So that's the pen tool here. Again, if you click and hold, you'll see other options for the pen tool. Now, I would suggest always using this typical pen tool here, but you can use this freeform tool and some of these other kind of anchor tools. These really are used once you are using the pen tool. You can delete or add anchor points and obviously convert the point tool. But I've shown you how to use the keyboard shortcuts for those anyway. This freeform pen tool though is a bit more fluid. It's a bit more like using a real pen. It's quite useful if you've got access to a graphics tablet, but you can see it's a bit more like drawing really. So I've just created a path there, right click, and again stroke path, and you can see it just fills it the same way. Right click, delete. It's a little more jagged, so you have to get quite good at doing that. Again, it's good if you've got a graphics tablet. Now you don't have to use the path, you can use the shape here, and that'll draw it out as a solid shape whilst you're using your pen tool. So this time we've drawn out a line, so just click and hold using the freeform tool at this point, and it creates a solid shape this time. And we'll just make selection and click OK, and it's kind of created a selection there. So you can, if you wanted to, use that to get rid of parts. Now you'd need to rasterize your layer if you wanted to get rid of parts. Gosh, that's a massive rubber there that I'm using, but you can see you can work them within the selection like you did last week if you want to. So I'm just going to deselect that, Control and D, just so that we can go back to this here. So again, using click, drag, and Alt. This time we've used standard pen tool, but again you can draw out a path if you want to. It sort of draws it as you go. Okay, so that's how you use basic pen tool. Obviously that just looks like a load of squiggly lines and doesn't really mean anything at the moment. So we're going to go back to our image here. So again, you should be able to click along to the panels at the top here. So I want you to make sure you use this colour picker at the bottom here to select True Black. Make sure that your pen tool is selected for the path. Create a new layer on top of your image here. So you should have a background layer. And just use this create new layer button at the bottom here. So you can zoom in. If you haven't got this navigator open, go to Window and just select Navigator, and that allows you to zoom in and about. Ooh. Sorry if I'm making anybody feel a little bit motion sick there. So you just zoom in and about by clicking and dragging around your canvas, or you can use Control and Plus to zoom in Control and minus to zoom out. So I'm just going to select kind of a flat edge here. So you click your first point and then go to the next point. We can see it's starting to curve here, so I want to go for that point there. And just keep working your way around. So click and drag to move your point. So you can see that allows you to bend around. And if you get to a point like this, which is a nice bend, but you want to straighten it up, you just use the Alt key and that allows you to straighten it up. So I'm just going to go kind of up his leg there a little bit. Keep clicking. Keep clicking as you go round. And again, you sort of like holding the left mouse button and Alt at the same time on your keyboard. Might take a little bit of practice. Click and hold your mouse down if you want to bend. And obviously the further you drag out, the more this kind of axis here bends out. So get used to kind of dragging it in if you want a kind of smaller bend. So if you make a mistake like that, you just click Control and Z to undo. Just keep working your way around, all the way around. So ideally you need to go all the way around this body here until you come all the way back to this point here. You should see if you hover over that point, kind of like a little dot comes up. And that's kind of asking you to close the path. Now I've closed the path there, but obviously I haven't drawn around. So once you've just going to get rid of my path, so right click delete path once you've completely gone around the outside of your person there. Now, this is very crude, you can see it's a little bit rough, but I've done this very quickly. You guys can spend a lot more time perfecting this, zooming into the smaller parts, making it look really nice. But you can see the basic outline anyway. So all I did there is I went all the way around with the points, and then when you get to the end point here, you just right click, fill path, and you fill the path. So I'll just show you that I've just done it on that portion of his leg there, but just to give you an idea. And then right click, delete path, and that'll get rid of your path there. So remember, zoom right into these points here. You won't want like something like this. You make sure that you make it nice and tidy, rather than mine here, which is a little bit messy. And that's just really how you do a very basic silhouette. Okay, thank you.